Have you ever asked ChatGPT a question and you got the perfect answer? And then you asked a similar question and you got a confusing mess? It's not a magic. It's called prompt engineering. Today, I'm going to show you how you can talk to AI so that it works for you. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace. And in this video, we are going to explore a vital skill in this AI era. It's called prompt engineering. So what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is the art and science of crafting questions and instructions that you give to AI, more like mostly generative AI, from chatbot like ChatGPT to image creators like DALL-E, so that they can produce accurate and relevant and useful results. Think of it like giving a recipe to an AI chef. So why do you think prompt engineering matter? Why can't you just write, do this, and it gives me what I want? Why do I need to learn prompt engineering? It's very important to learn prompt engineering because it is the bridge between humans and AI. More like bridge between yourself and the chatbots that you are using. Because if you don't give clear instructions to AI, you will get wrong answers or messy answers. And without prompt engineering, models can misunderstand your intent or hallucinate information. Also, another reason why prompt engineering is important is because it saves time, it saves energy, it saves stress, it saves frustration. Because have you been in that position where you ask AI something and then it gives you something and you're not very satisfied with what it gives you, and then you keep asking, and then you just got frustrated and maybe go and use Google or just craft what you wanted to get from AI yourself? That's the importance of prompt engineering. Without prompt engineering, you will get frustrated. It will waste a lot of your time instead of saving your time, and then in the long run, you're not able to get exactly what you want from generative AI. And the third reason why prompt engineering is important is because it is becoming a high leverage career skill. I recently saw a salary for an AI prompt engineer from Lloyds Bank, and I saw £70,000 to £120,000. That's actually a lot, right? It's a good salary, and that's because prompt engineering has become a high leverage skill that anybody can have. Not just that anybody can learn and work as in any company. Most companies now look for people that can prompt AI to give them what they actually want. So prompt engineering is a very, very high leverage skill that is growing in today's industries. As AI grows in different industries, from medicine to farming to agriculture to different aspects of industries, knowing how to speak or talk to AI actually opens more doors. So let's dive into the core part of prompt engineering, which is what this video is about. The importance of this video is to make you learn how to write better prompts more than 99% of people. We are going to go into the core part of prompt engineering. To write a good prompt, there are different parts of a prompt. So I'm going to be stating them and explaining what they are, and we are also going to write an example prompt with this part of a prompt. The first part is the role. To get a very good result from AI, it is always important to set the role of that AI. So let's say you want to create a marketing campaign, right? And you just go to ChatGPT. I want to create a marketing campaign for my business. That's not good. That's not a good prompt. So what if you go act as a marketing expert or a marketing strategist or a growth marketer or any role that actually fits into what you want to do? Act as this, a growth marketer. Create a marketing campaign for launching my product, so. This is what my business is, and then you go that way. If you set it a role like that, it knows what it is acting as, and that way it gives you results based on that role. So if you say act as a doctor, it gives you response based on being a doctor, not just as a general AI brain or AI knowledge that it's going to give you. So setting a role is very, very important for writing a good prompt. So role guide the tone of the AI and also the expertise. It makes you get the best result based on what you actually want to do. So the first part is a role. Now the next part is directive or task. So what does this mean? Directive is more like, what do you want it to do? After you've set the role, act as a nutritionist, act as a lawyer, act as a marketing strategist. So after acting like that, what do you want the AI to do for you? So if you want it to create a landing page copy for you, you can say act as an expert copywriter. Write a landing page copy for my cake business. I sell so. So write a landing page copy is the task, or more like the directive, the direction of what you want the AI to do. And note that without a clear directive, the AI will do a guesswork. So after setting the role, make sure you set the directive, clear directive, let it know what you want it to do. The third one is context. What does this mean? What does context mean? Context is more like setting the background information or telling it what this particular task is for. Why is it for somebody? So let's say you want to create the landing page copy. So let's build on that. Creating the landing page copy for that. So you can give a background information that this page or this business is for so and so age, for between or for Gen Zs, or this landing page I want it to be tailored to Gen Zs, right? Or tell it that I'm creating this business for Gen Zs just so that they can remember their roots. So giving it a context allows it to give a better result, because now it knows why. It knows the why. It knows the background information that it can act on. So it's not just acting as a copywriter. It's not just doing what you are telling it to do. It knows the background information, why you want it to do it, and how it should be done. The background story, more like a background story, context. That's what context is about. So the more information you give, the better output you get, right? So I understand that giving private information is not very wise. So refrain from giving too private information, but give as much information as you can give just to get the better output that you want. So that in just one prompt, you get what you want, instead of prompting it over and over again. No, this is not what I asked. Oh, you say, oh, I get you. Let me do it. Oh, no. I'm not talking this way. This is not what, you just keep wasting time chatting with ChatGPT, and then you won't still get the perfect answer. So we've spoken about role, setting the role for the AI to understand how it should act. We talked about the direction, the tasks you want it to do. Then we've spoken about context, more like a background information. Give it a context, why you are doing what you want to do, right? Who is for, that way it understands how better to present the answer. So the next part of a good prompt is examples. AI learns from data, right? So if you provide it an example that you want it to mimic or be like, you will get a very good response. Okay, let's say you want the copy to be like apple.com copy, or maybe Nike copy. You could just give it that kind of example. That way it knows how to tailor the answer to mimic or to be similar, or to take the layout or the structure of the example that you have given it. So that way you get a better output, because you give it what is on your mind, so you're able to get what is in your mind out. Instead of trying to struggle to explain what is in your mind, you can just say example, give it an example, and that way it's able to follow the example that you've given it to bring out the output that you want. So see example as a pattern. So you're more like you are setting a pattern for it to follow, and then it follows it to give you your output. So the fifth part, which is also the last part, is format or notes, more like the final thing. So in this note, you can set negative prompt. Don't include emojis. Don't include dashes. Let the answer be in table format or tabular form. Make sure it is numbered, all of those things. How you want it to output your answer. Should it come in JSON? Should it come as a code? Should it come as a document? Should it come as an outlined document or outlined answer? This format is how you want it to output your answer, because depending on what you need, if you need it as a document, it can come as a document. If you need it as a JSON file, it can come as a JSON. If you need it as a slide, it can come as a slide, right? setting the notes and the format on how you want your response to come out determines how it should come out. If not, AI will assume just anything and give you what it can actually give you, either as a note, as a format, as a table. And now say you don't want it as a table, but it came out as a table, then you have struggle maybe copying and pasting it in what you actually need. So setting the format and writing like extra note for it to follow is very, very important. But know that not every time will you need all these parts of a good prompt or all these parts of a prompt engineering. But one thing you need to be clear on is that clearer you are, the better the results. The more information you give it, the better the result. The more instruction in terms of role, in terms of context, in terms of specifics, in terms of examples, in terms of format, in terms of task is dependent on how you get the result. So be clear as much as you can so that you can get a better result. But before we move forward, it is very important that you note that generative AI understands markup language better and gives better results when you use markup language like markdown. So what does this mean? When you want to type your row, instead of just typing row, do this, you can just put hash, which means headline row. Act as a nutritionist or act as an expert nutritionist, and then you go on to put hash direction or tags. Create a recipe to cook the most delicious food in the world, whatever it is, and then you move on to context. Your context can be in list, and when you want to type list in markdown, you use dash. This cookbook or this recipe will be used by kings and queens in different kingdoms in every part of the world. I want it, another list, another dash. I want it to be royalty. I want it to look royalty and sound royalty, that when kings and queens eat it, they feel special. Another list is when they eat it, I want their confidence to boost up, and I want them to always want it for a breakfast. That's a contest. And then you move on to write another part of a good prompt, which is example. So you can give it example, hash example, and go on to add the example, and then note, hash note, go on to write the note. An example of a note would be, do not use emojis, use images to show the beauty of the food in the recipe or in the cookbook. So now that we've written all this, look at the prompt. Using hash actually allows you to know the importance of that line or of that row. Now setting the row, you give it a row, give it a task, give it a context, give it an example, give it a format or like a note on how this cookbook should come out, and then you send it. I assure you the results that you get from this will be much better from just writing, create a cookbook for royalties in the 19th century or something like that. So that makes a good prompt. Writing your prompt in markup language helps you to also get better results. Some people have also said writing your prompt in JSON, all of those things. But one simple language that generative AI also understands is a markup language, and it's just a simple test, but it is more structured and more formatted. So let's look at some quick techniques that you should know when it comes to prompt engineering. So the first technique is zero-shot prompt. It's more like giving a simple and direct instruction. An example is summarize the causes of French Revolution. Another technique you need to know is one-shot and few-shot prompt. It's like providing one or more example of your desired output. Example of what a one-shot and few-shot prompt is: translate "I like apple" to "Mo fẹ́ràn apple." Now translate "I love to eat." So that way it knows that it's translating apple in this format, and then you want it to translate the new sentence that you gave it in that same format. Another technique is prompt chaining. Prompt chaining is like breaking complex tasks into smaller questions and chaining them together. An example is asking AI to get key points from a report, and they're now going further to ask it to summarize those key points. So that's prompt chaining. So another technique is role assignment, which we've talked about in the part of writing a good prompt. It's more like assigning a role to the AI to know what it should act as. An example is act as a developer or act as a counselor. And the last technique you need to know is zero shots chain out of thought technique. It's more like adding phrases like let's think step by step. So in cases where you don't add example, this technique actually helps the AI or the generative AI to think, to pause and think before answering, and also know what to say. These techniques may sound technical, but they are just way of shaping how your AI responds and give you the output that you want. So you can mix and match them based on your goals. You don't necessarily have to use all of the technique in just one prompt, but you can mix them and match them based on your growth, and also using the part of prompt engineering that we've spoken about earlier. So some rule of thumbs when you are writing a prompt. Number one is what I mentioned earlier. The more information, the better the output. Don't forget that AI feeds on data. So the more you feed it, the more better output that you get. But I'm not saying you should feed it some private information. Feed as much information as you can feed it to get what you want. And you can definitely do the rest yourself. Be specific and unambiguous. Don't use vague words. Be clear and tell it exactly what you want. You can also specify the output format that you want. You can say the word should not be more than 150 words, or it should come in tabular format, which I've mentioned earlier. Split big tasks into smaller steps. Generative AI is more like giving instruction to someone, and if it's too ambiguous, it might not give you what you want. So splitting it into smaller tasks or smaller steps actually helps it know what to do and give you a better output. Iterate and refine. Treat prompt engineering like a conversation. Tweak questions based on the output until you get what you need, because sometimes you might not even get what you need, but if you iterate, if you tweak it, you'll be able to get what you need based on the information that I provided earlier. And lastly is be mindful of security. Don't include sensitive information in your prompts. So I want you to treat prompt engineering as teaching your helper. You wouldn't just say do this work or go and clean the house. You would explain what, why, how, and for whom. It's the same way you also treat prompt engineering. So the more the information, the more the context, the better the results that you get. So a quick note on security. This one is majorly for prompt AI prompt engineers, or people that build AI agents and use prompt as a system and prompt for the user input. It is very, very important that as you design your prompt, you use guardrails, validate input, and never combine sensitive data with user input, because attackers can craft malicious prompts that override system instructions and extract confidential data. So it's very, very important to add guardrails and not to use sensitive data. And that's it. You've now learned how to write a good prompt more than 99% of people. And I want you to know that prompt engineering is not just a hobby, it is becoming a profession. As AI systems are getting smarter, companies are hiring prompt engineers and strategists. And beyond tests, new multimodal models like Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, ChatGPT require detailed prompts for images, audios, and videos. And mastering prompt engineering now will position you at the forefront of the AI evolution. To recap, prompt engineering is the skill of communicating with AI using well-structured instructions so that it can give you a better output. By understanding the building blocks of writing a good prompt, you can unlock the full potential of generative models. So if you find this guide and this video helpful, please give it a like, share with your friends, with your colleagues, or anybody that needs to learn about prompt engineering, and subscribe for more videos on AI agents, AI solutions, and tech in general. And let me know in the comments how you'll be using prompt engineering in your upcoming project. And until next time, happy prompting, and see you in my next video.